Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip, episode -9. Could the Dogman be a weapons project? I came across this one from good old Phil Poling. I thought he was blowing smoke up my ass at first, because the way he presented it to me was like, I think we have the Justin Smeha of the Dogman world. And I was like, you mean like a bullshit artist? So, I still don't know. I don't know if this story is... I don't know. But I will present it to you tonight. For fun. I don't know what it is, but I looked over the interview that Phil sent me, and then I did a little bit of deeper research into it just to look to see what things were saying, what the intertubes are vibrating. But otherwise, I still don't know. I don't know. Is the Dogman real? Hell if I know. I will say that after looking at the story, I do like it. Definitely like it. So, sorry I was off last week. I came down with the flu. I had 101 fever at least. I had 2 days where I couldn't even function. I was between my chair and my bed. I would sit in my chair with my head like this. And this is how I would sit. And I would just be miserable. And I would sweat. And I would get chills. And I would get cold, so I would jump into bed, cover myself in my blankets, instantly get hot, strip off my blankets, get back into the chair, head down. 2 days. That's what I did. It is the most miserable I've been in a long time. And then it just hung on. I'm still dealing with it. I'm taking steroids. They gave me a shot of steroids in my ass. 80 milligrams. That was like on Monday, I think it was. It's been a fun time. Monday morning, this coming week, I get my teeth taken out, and my dentures go in. So this is the last time you will see me with all my normal top teeth in. They will be gone. They're horrible anyway. You don't need to see them. But I got a nice new set. Hopefully everything works out all right. I get the adjustments figured out pretty quickly. I know it's going to be a process. I need to get myself into that mindset that it's not going to be peachy keen. It's going to be a little painful. And I'll get there. I will do the show next week. I have every intention of doing it. I think it'll be interesting to see how things develop for me as I go forward. And I think this is a great place to fucking do it. So we'll see how that works. So yeah, I've been sick. Like I said, went down into my lungs. I've had like a lung infection. They've got me on a litany of stuff. Litany. Like I'm on all kinds of over-the-counter stuff that she told me to pick up. Plus prescription medications. I'm on like a cough medicine type thing. It's a pill. I don't know. I take it 3 times a day. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So that's why I was off last week. I wanted to do the show. I was hoping that something would kick in and just let me, feel normal. so that I could do the show last week, but it just didn't happen because I had this slated for last week. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about this week, which is something I had talked about. I can't remember if I talked about it a couple of weeks on the show ago or before that, was the movie Song Sung Blue. I really loved that movie. Went to see it early morning showing. I went like 9:50 in the morning. It stars Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. I really enjoyed the movie. So much so that when I came home, I watched the documentary, and I was like, well, there was definitely some differences there. There were things that were different that I could tell like right off the bat from between the movie to the documentary, but that's always the case. You know, whenever they try to transform something from real life into Hollywood, there is so much that gets lost in translation. Yes, lies get told, blah, blah, blah. But I came across this thing where the children of the fella in the movie, or the guy that Hugh Jackman plays, that they were very upset about this. So I wanted to share this because, like I've always said, I like to tell the truth about things. And if these kids are right about this, if his kids are right about this, then I definitely want to present their side. I will say that I think, as with anything when it comes to Hollywood, you're going to lose things in the translation. Maybe this was a lot more blatant. According to his son, he was very integral in his father's life, and he isn't even presented in the movie. And I can say that he wasn't. You do not hear anything about his son in the movie. You hear about his daughter, but not his son. So I wanted to present this this story. See if it'll let me here. This one's from Fox News. Kate Hudson addresses criticism from the real family behind her new movie Song Sung Blue. Mike Sardina's children claim they were paid $30K, but purposely cut out of Hugh Jackman movie about their father. This is mostly about Kate responding to this, but it does have their stuff in there. So, Kate Hudson is responding to criticism regarding her latest movie. In a new interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the actress addressed the recent controversy surrounding her new movie, Song Sung Blue, which tells the story of the real-life husband and wife duo who made up the Neil Diamond tribute band, Lightning and Thunder. Honestly, I don't even know, out of respect for our filmmakers, I'm not the right person to speak to it, Hudson told the outlet. In the film, Hudson portrayed Claire Thunder Sardina, while Hugh Jackman played Mike Lightning Sardina. And though the movie was a critical success, Mike's real-life children, Michael Jr. and Angelina, had many issues with it. The two spoke with the Daily Mail in December 2025 about their problems with production, telling the outlet they were paid $30K to consult on the film, with Mike Jr. also asserting that he was purposely cut out of the film. Every interview that those monsters have been on national television don't even mention my existence at all, even though I was the most prevalent force in my father's life. Even when I wasn't in Wisconsin, because I'm his only son, he said of Jackman and Hudson. Angelina added that while the movie told a beautiful story, it does not reflect what really happened, noting, I guess that's what's upsetting, because it's a lie. While Mike Jr. and Angelina are upset with the end product, their stepmother Claire, who married Mike Sr. at the Wisconsin State Fair in 1994, and her two children from a prior marriage, Dana and Rachel, have been supportive. I want the true story out there, and I want it used with truth, with dignity, and I want retribution, Mike Jr. said. I want retribution from NBC Universal and other parties involved. Not just for me, for my father, for me, and for my little sister. My father's true descendants, because they screwed us over. Everybody thinks it's such a wonderful film. It's so touching, he added. It's all lies. And it steals all the hard work that my father put in his entire life so that Claire, Rachel, and Dana can soak up a massive paycheck. While Hudson did not comment on what Mike Jr. had to say, she expressed gratitude for getting to meet Claire and have her involved in the movie. I'm so happy that I got to know Claire, who's such a wonderful woman, and she's so happy with the movie, she said. And Hudson's been nominated, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to share that because I thought the movie was great. I enjoyed it. And I just thought I should clarify on that because I saw that story about the kids and I was like, I got to at least tell their side of the story. So, and Katie's in the chat tonight. Evening, Katie. Your dog farts like a man. Sure, that counts, I guess. That counts. We can go with that. But let's get into the rest of the news. I wanted to present that news story kind of separate, but get into the news for tonight. The computer's kind of slow tonight. Our first story of the evening from WDTN.com. Strange lights in Miami Valley sky. It's Starlink, not UFOs. From Dayton, Ohio. Did you notice some strange lights in the sky tonight? Many people in the Miami Valley reported seeing Starlink in the sky on Wednesday, January 7th. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation owned by SpaceX, and it often appears as a string of strange, bright lights in the sky. The satellites currently provide coverage to approximately 150 countries and territories. It aims to provide global mobile broadband coverage. Basically a freaking Starlink ad is what that freaking news story was. Yeah, that was a real short one. They're all kind of short ones tonight, folks. Slim pickings in the old world of Fortean news. You gotta love it. It's good times. I go to look for stories and I'm like, that's not great, but it is what it is. You know, our next story of the evening, we'll go with this one from FTW.USAtoday.com. Florida anglers in awe as great white shark surfaces striking boat. This one's a video. I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys. Let's see if I can get this thing up here so you can see it. These people are going.
It's dolphin, but they might be spinners. Dolphins. I can't tell. Spinners are smaller. Looks like they are.
You can hear the audio on this.
Yes,
those
dolphins
are. Just swimming
or they might
through
be
the water.
Spotted. They're going to chase us. They'll go on the bow here. Right in front of us. If you look around the side, look in front of us.
Look at the
My
dolphins.
gosh,
and then,
great white.
Everybody gets attacked by a shark on the boat. No, they just, I guess it struck at the boat. That was pretty interesting, though. Boom. Some pretty good stuff. I know we've been seeing quite a few of them up this way in Maine, off the coast lately. It's a big pond, folks. There's lots of stuff that lives in it. Lots of stuff that's bigger than you and can probably eat you. That's just kind of the way it is. So, yeah. Good stuff. Our last story of the evening, I should say. From 8newsnow.com. New film delves into Bigfoot sightings and origins mystery. This one's from one of our favorite people. I do believe his name's in here somewhere. Bigfoot is everywhere these days, at least as the animated spokesperson in ads for a wide range of products and companies. If you dig deep enough, though, you would discover the legend of a huge, hair-covered creature living in the wild has been around for centuries, all over the world, including Nevada. A former lawman has spent the last 17 years searching for the best evidence related to Bigfoot. He has come up with a theory that won't make anyone comfortable. In the universe of so-called fringe science subjects, the different factions researching, say, poltergeists, UFOs, or Bigfoot and other mystery creatures don't get along all that well. They tend to regard the other subjects as a little crazy and want nothing to do with them. Former cop David Paulides spent nearly 3 years working on a documentary film that seems to link those topics together. Did he now? Did he now? The new documentary film, American Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster, pulls together the most compelling evidence that the hairy and supposedly mythical monster believed to inhabit the deep forests of the Pacific Northwest is not only real, but has been reported all over the world for centuries. Oh, yeah. I find it funny that Paulides, well, however you pronounce his friggin' name, when he's talking about his missing 411 stuff, make sure he skirts around like the whole Bigfoot paranormal stuff. It's obvious what he's talking about, but he won't come right out and say, now he's like, Bigfoot. Bigfoot. Take it from that man. Bigfoot. Bigfoot is the nickname that caught on. Sasquatch is just one of the names given to the legendary beast by Native American nations. I think I have 100 different names from different tribes and First Nation groups about what they call hairy man, Bigfoot, other names not transcribed correctly. Paulides told 8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp. Of course, George Knapp's in on that one. It runs the gamut. The bottom line is almost every tribe believes it's another tribe of people. They don't think it's an animal. In and of this, and I've talked about this with Phil and some other people. I do believe that if Bigfoot is real, it's a divergent species. It's not. I think it's more closely related to us than it is anything else. That's my personal opinion. Divergent species. I'm not going to go too far into this. I thought this was funny. That good old Mr. Paulides is out there trying to hawk more of his wares. As I would say, I don't need these headphones anymore. I've said before, I think in the cases of the missing 411, he brought attention to a lot of stuff. And I've seen some people take those cases and run with them, and come up with plausible explanations. I've stated before on this program, the guys over at the Lore Lodge, if you haven't checked out their stuff, they are thorough. They're very good at what they do. They're very careful about what they say. And I tend to like their assessments. They're young guys. And I think they're doing good work. We need more people like that. People who want to get to the truth. Not people who just want to toe the line. The line gets us nowhere. It gets us around in a big loop. That's all it does. One big loop. You want evidence? You want truth? You want real research? I hope that we can get to that someday. I am hopeful. Will that happen? I don't know. I'd like to see it happen. I think there's a lot of people that would like to see it happen. But yeah, this past couple of weeks, I got back into a show that is fabulous. And that show is Dark. If you've never seen the show Dark, it's on Netflix. I believe it's a German show. It's about this town, Winden, and the people in this town and how they are all interconnected by time travel. It is great. I am almost done rewatching the second season of this show right now. I got one more episode to go this season, and then I've got the third season, which is the final season, to watch again. I recommend this show. It is brilliantly shot, acted. Even though you are, if you listen to it with the English dub over it or not, it's still great. But the actors in this show, regardless of whether you can understand them or not, the emotion that comes over, the way this show progresses, I can't recommend this show enough. It is probably the best time travel vehicle I've ever seen. It's just great. I don't want to spoil anything, and I'm not going to. But it does. It circles around this town of Winden, the nuclear power plant, and the story starts out that these kids are playing around, and this one little kid disappears while they're out in the woods, and then they can't find him. And they've been finding kids dead. So if you haven't seen this show, it's not a big commitment. I think all in all, it's like under 30 episodes. It's like 20 something. And well worth the watch. You will not be disappointed at all. But I delved back into that. I've been wanting to rewatch it for a while, and I just hadn't. Excuse me. I hadn't pulled the trigger. And while I was sick, I was like, I'm just sitting here. I might as well. But very glad that I did, because it sucked me right back in. And like I said, I recommend it to everybody. I have not finished the book that I was reading. I'm almost done with Fatal Revenant. And I'd wanted to finish those books before the new Jim Butcher book comes out on the 20th, the new Harry Dresden book. I love those books. The Harry Dresden books are definitely in my top 10 series of all time. Those books are fabulous. All written from the first person's perspective of Harry. And just bang, bang, bang. When I read through them, so fast. I think it was 16 books that are already out, and I blew through them in, a month or so. Maybe a couple of months. It was crazy. Oh, yeah, still battling that lovely cough. It's good stuff. But yeah, the Joe Barger story. Like I said, Phil threw this one at me. And at first, I didn't know if he was giving me a bag of shit. And it still could be. I'm not claiming that this is a definitive Dogman encounter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's interesting. And I did watch through the interview with Joe Barger. I'll link that in the description for anybody who wants to check it out later on. But this is where I saw it at. It was over on X. Phil sent it to me. It's White Rabbit Bot. But this is Joe Barger here. And I watched through this interview and what he had to say about what happened. it's an interesting watch or listen, as it may be. I would recommend that you check it out. Listen to what the guy has to say. Take a look at him for yourself. Don't just take what you see here today. Look into it. And I would recommend that of anything. Don't just go with what's thrown in front of you. Do your own research. If there's one thing we should have learned over COVID, it's definitely do your own research. Don't just take what the status quo tells you. Propaganda is a thing. So I would definitely be doing your own research. But yeah, I watched this interview. I did a little digging on my own. I had the old AIs do a little digging. I will say that Grok didn't do as well. It didn't find too much. Because there is stuff out there on this. If you want to find it. So, without further ado, I will get into this. Joe Barger, a Michigan truck driver and 6-year U.S. Army veteran, claims that in June 2017, he shot and killed a Dogman, a cryptid often described as a half-wolf, half-man creature, while hauling cargo through the Manistee National Forest in Michigan. Barger's harrowing account includes a face-to-face confrontation with a 10-foot-tall, fanged, bipedal creature, followed by an alleged government attempt to silence him. Below is a comprehensive overview of the incident, media coverage from both mainstream and paranormal sources, and background on Joe Barger's life and credibility. I had meant to keep that out, but I read it anyway. Barger recounts that his encounter occurred one evening in June 2017 on a remote 2-lane road in the Manistee National Forest in northwest Lower Michigan. He was driving his semi-truck carrying a 43,000-pound load of paper from a northern Michigan mill along his typical route through the forest. The Manistee National Forest is a vast woodland area, part of the Huron-Manistee National Forests, known for its dense woods and wildlife. Barger had driven this route many times and considered it bear country, but had never heard of the Michigan Dogman legend before that night. The encounter unfolded rapidly over 15 to 20 seconds. As Barger was driving into the forest, he noticed an air leak in his truck's braking system. Not wanting to get too deep in the woods with a mechanical issue, he pulled over to fix it. After locating the leaking brake chamber at the back of his trailer, he crawled underneath to repair it. At that moment, he began to sense something was wrong. Quote, "I began to get a bad feeling. I was hearing a vocalization that wasn't natural. It wasn't a sound I had ever heard before," Barger recalls. Looking around from under the trailer, he saw a, quote, "shadowing in the woodline," and thought it might be a black bear, given the region. Unnerved, he quickly finished the fix in under 5 minutes and got back into his truck. Continuing his drive, Barger felt uneasy, but saw no other traffic as he started up a hill. Glancing in his right mirror, he noticed that it was darker than it should be, outside his passenger window. He then realized why. A gigantic wolf-like head was blocking the window. Quote, "There was a wolf head the size of my window, and my windows were down," Barger said. "He was trotting along next to me, and I was going about 20 to 25 miles per hour. He was stooping down on 2 legs looking down inside of my cabin. I'm 9 feet tall in my seat. His hands were coming up scratching my windowsill. On my door handle I could hear his claws." Barger described the creature in vivid detail. Though it moved bipedally, it had the head of a wolf with pure black pointed ears and yellow eyes. Its maw was full of a lot of sharp teeth, 3-inch long fangs, top and bottom, brilliant white, and it bore human-like hands, probably 14 inches across. Barger estimated the creature's height at approximately 10 feet, given that it was stooping to peer into the semi-truck's cab at his eye level. The beast kept pace with the truck effortlessly, trotting alongside at 20-plus miles per hour, and looked at Barger with what he interpreted as intelligent, malicious intent. Quote, "Time slowed down," Barger said of those moments. "I thought it was an alternate reality or something, because a creature like this doesn't exist in any reality I've ever known. I've heard of Bigfoot. This was a whole different thing. Bigfoot has nothing on the Dogman," he recounted. According to Barger, the creature's demeanor was, quote, "mad and determined to get me, sneering. The looks he was giving me and the intelligence in his eyes was telling me, I'm here to get you, and there's nothing you can do about it." As the massive wolf-headed creature pawed at his door, Barger struggled to keep calm. He thought about rolling up the window, but feared any sudden movement might provoke an attack or cause him to lose control of the truck. Instead, he focused on the road until he remembered the .45 caliber Colt handgun strapped to his waist. Barger drew his pistol, and with the creature's head literally at arm's length through the open window, fired 2 point-blank shots. "I took 2 shots at the creature. He instantly went down," Barger said. He believes he struck it in the head. "I was at almost point-blank range, so I'm pretty sure I got him through the eye orbit. His head was huge. Everything on this animal was black except its teeth and eyes. The beast collapsed and slid into the weeds off the roadside." Stunned and shaken, Barger kept driving up the hill. He later admitted this was the scaredest I've ever been in my life, even compared to firefights he experienced during military service. After about a mile, he found a wide area where he could turn his semi-truck around. Though terrified, curiosity and a need for confirmation compelled him to go back. Quote, "I wanted to make sure I killed it, to make sure I didn't lose my mind and imagine the whole thing," Barger explained. He estimated only 5 minutes had passed when he returned to the spot, but to his surprise, the creature's body was gone. In place of the fallen cryptid, Barger found a Jeep parked on the roadside with 2 people standing nearby. They appeared to be looking into the woods exactly where the creature had tumbled. Concerned for their safety, knowing a dangerous creature had just been there, Barger stopped and asked if they were all right. The pair responded with a peculiar explanation. Quote, "They gave me a story that they were watching a few bears fighting each other," he said. Barger found this odd. Black bears are uncommon in that immediate area, and the chances of 2 bears fighting right by the road were slim. He suspected the bear fight story was a cover for something else. Barger did not reveal to the couple what he had just experienced. Quote, "I didn't want to let them know what I had just done, so I left," he said. As he drove away, he wondered if perhaps a second dogman had retrieved the body of the one he shot, which could explain why the couple claimed to see 2 bears, possibly mistaking the upright creatures for bears at a distance. This idea that more than one of the creatures might be in the area deeply unnerved him. Traumatized, Barger continued driving until he was well clear of the forest. Quote, I was really in shock for a good while. I shouldn't have been driving, but I wasn't going to stay around there," he admits. He did not see any physical evidence of the creature at the scene, no blood, fur, or body, just the strange encounter with the 2 individuals in the Jeep. Being alone and without a camera, he collected no proof of the incident besides the 2 spent .45 casings in his truck and his own memory. The lack of a corpse or photos means Barger's story relies entirely on his testimony and credibility. Barger suffered severe nightmares for months after. Quote, "It was the most terrifying thing I think anybody could go through, worse than any combat situation, because at least in combat, you know what you're dealing with there," he reflected. For 6 months to a year after 2017, he had recurring nightmares of the Dogman, though these eventually subsided. He told no one but close family about the incident. At first, I thought I might have lost my mind, he later said, until he began researching and realized others had reported similar Dogman sightings in Michigan, especially in years ending in 7, such as 2017. Barger kept the story largely to himself for a few years, fearing ridicule and even retaliation. However, by 2022, he decided to come forward publicly, believing it was important to warn others in Michigan about what he encountered. His account then spread through both mainstream media and cryptid-focused outlets, often accompanied by speculation of a government cover-up. And I wanted to find in this... Here it is, right here. One of the most startling aspects of Barger's story is what he says happened after his encounter, when he initially tried to share it anonymously. According to Barger, about 3 months after his first quiet disclosure in 2018, he was confronted by authorities who seemed to know about his Dogman incident. Barger claims he was detained at a truck weigh station by state police, who then handed him over to federal authorities. These federal agents were very intimidating and angry, Barger recalls. One agent allegedly said to him, "You killed one of our assets, and this is how it's going to go down." This stunned Barger, who immediately understood the only thing I killed in the past year was that creature. The agents implied the creature was their property, which sent a chilling message that Dogman isn't just a myth, but perhaps some kind of secret tool of the government. Barger recalls the feds telling him to stop talking about the incident, and they confiscated his handgun, and even temporarily froze his bank accounts as leverage against him. Feeling directly threatened, Barger stayed silent about the encounter for several years afterward. In his 2022 public interview, Barger speculated that the Dogman was probably another tool in the government's toolbox for military operations, and that its usefulness depended upon keeping it a secret. In other words, he hints that Dogman could be engineered creatures, hence the term asset or possibly a bioweapon, used clandestinely by the military. This echoes conspiracy theories in the cryptid community that some cryptids might be the result of secret experiments. While no evidence has been provided to support these claims, Barger's conviction in telling this part of the story has only fueled online speculation of a cover-up. It should be noted that no independent confirmation of Barger's detention or the alleged federal encounter exists. These claims are based solely on his testimony. Some skeptics find the Men in Black element of his story less believable, considering it a possible embellishment or a product of stress and fear. However, believers point out that Barger was reluctant to go public precisely due to fear of government reprisal, which to them adds credibility. He only spoke out once he felt it was important to get this information out, and had the right people who have my back. The supposed involvement of authorities also ties into Expedition X's Dogman conspiracy theme, suggesting Barger's case is not an isolated tale, but part of a larger mystery about why evidence of creatures like Dogman never come to light. Within the narrative, the Jeep and unknown individuals at the scene could be interpreted as a rapid response team retrieving the creature's body, though Barger himself thought those people were just civilians until the later federal warning made him rethink it. Some background on Joe Barger. Joe Barger was around 59 years old when he went public in 2022, placing his birth around the early 1960s. Lifelong Michigander, Barger served 6 years in the U.S. Army in his younger days. He has mentioned experiencing combat or at least hazardous duty during his service, which is why he compared the Dogman incident to military situations. After his Army stint, Barger settled down in Michigan with his wife and led a fairly ordinary life. By his 50s, he was working as a short-haul truck driver, doing regular routes within Michigan. In his free time, he enjoyed hunting and target shooting, hobbies common in rural Michigan, which meant he was a capable outdoorsman and familiar with wildlife and firearms. Crucially, Barger insists he had no prior involvement or interest in cryptozoology or the paranormal. In his words, he had, quote, never heard of the Dogman before 2017. He was aware of Bigfoot as a concept, but wasn't particularly a believer, just vaguely aware of such folklore. This lack of prior knowledge is something he emphasizes, suggesting he had no frame of reference. When this creature appeared, which contributed to his shock and disbelief. Only after the encounter did he begin researching Dogman sightings, discovering the Michigan legend and its lore of cyclical appearances every decade. Friends and family described Joe Barger as an honest, level-headed, and mild-mannered person, not someone given to tall tales. In one social media post, a relative vouched that Joe is one of the most mild-mannered, honest people there are, reinforcing that he's not seeking fame or fortune. Indeed, Barger did not initially want publicity. He first tried sharing the story anonymously through a podcaster, as noted. Only after some years, and encouragement from a family member who said he should get this out to the public, did Joe agree to do a recorded interview. By 2022, Barger said he felt a sense of duty to warn others in the area. Even if you don't believe me, it might be something you can draw on in case you ever have an experience with the Dogman, an advantage I never had, he explained. He expressed that knowing such a creature might exist could mentally prepare someone for the impossible, as he wished he had been prepared. Barger's religious faith also played a role. He swore on his faith that his account was truthful, as if to underscore his honesty. Since coming forward, Barger has generally avoided sensational media appearances. He chose platforms where he felt the hosts were respectful and would let him tell his story in his own words. For example, Carol Ann, host of the In Between podcast, narrated Joe's story, episode 102, February 10th, 2025, with his cooperation. In these retellings, Barger doesn't stray from the core details, which supporters take as a sign of credibility. He does not claim to know what the Dogman truly is, only what he saw and what authorities told him. It's also worth noting that Joe Barger has no known history of hoaxes or attention-seeking. By all accounts, he's a private individual who stumbled into an extraordinary situation. If anything, the attention from the Dogman story seemed unwanted. He admitted that after the supposed government warning, he stopped talking about it until recently. His coming forward appears driven by a mix of personal catharsis and a genuine, if controversial, desire to alert the public about what he believes is a real danger lurking in Michigan's wilderness. I don't know. I think that this story is very interesting. I definitely recommend that you all check out his interview that I was showing earlier on X. I'll definitely post a link for that in the description of the video for tonight. This one definitely makes me go, that's interesting. I mean, the guy's not looking for anything. It's obvious. When you try to put something out there anonymously like that, now, could he be a bullshit artist? Absolutely. He could be telling a big bag of lies. But he could be telling the truth too. I don't know. It's Schrodinger's fucking Dogman, I guess. Take it, run with it. That's what I say. You guys want to know about it? Do a little bit of research yourselves. Look into it. Take a look at what this guy has to say. Look at his body language. See what you think. And not that that's definitive. Not that talking to somebody is a definitive thing or seeing somebody is a definitive thing. Steve said before with, Norm Glasser, he thought that guy was genuine. He was fucking sure the guy was genuine. He seems like a real genuine guy. People can fucking lie. And they do. And they will. Now, is this Joe Barger a liar? I don't know. I'm hopeful that he's not. I'm hopeful that he's telling a true story. Not because I want, a vicious dogman that could kill people to be real, but because I want this story to not be horseshit. Now, I want this guy to be telling something that's true. I want truth. If this is true, I want to know. Is this thing a real thing? Is it a supernatural creature? Is it a weapon? Is it an asset? I totally buy that the government tried to create an asset like this. I would totally buy that shit. And you all should too. It's not beyond our government to try shit like this. MK Ultra was a thing. I mean, like I've said before, y'all want to be sheep, have at. I'm done being a sheep. We've been propagandized about everything. Why wouldn't we be propagandized about shit like this? I would totally buy that the government tried to make a super soldier. Why not? Why wouldn't they try to do something like that? It's a completely viable hypothesis for this, or theory, or whatever you want to call it. It's perfectly valid, in my opinion. We do crazy shit all the time. Or our government does. Crazy shit all the time. And they lie to us all the time. So, I don't understand why people wouldn't think that this could be also something that they would lie to us about. And I don't know Joe Barger. I can't vouch for this man. I've never spoken to him. I'd love to speak to him. If there's some way I can reach out to him, I'll see what I can do. But I would love to talk to him. A serious sit down and find out what he has to say. I don't know that that's a possibility, but from the sounds of it, he's really selective. But it's a story that makes me go, yeah, maybe there's something to this here. It is in Michigan. Michigan is a hotbed supposedly for Dogman. Although I've heard two different varying things. I've heard from people that live there that say, no, I've never heard of it, or I don't know what all this hubbub is. And then other people that are like, no, this is a thing. So, I don't know. I think sometimes it depends on who you talk to. Where I grew up, there were certain quote unquote legends. But if you talk to other people about it in my area, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They don't know anything about it, but, there's a whole group of us that grew up with this particular legend, So I don't know. I don't know what the truth is when it comes to the Michigan Dogman. I have questioned whether or not it's an offshoot of a type of Bigfoot. I have gone down that road before. But as with any of these bipedal cryptids, I think I'm more of the school that they're a divergent species. Some type of a divergent species. Now with the Dogman, I don't know. I don't know what this thing could be. It's definitely pretty wild. I'll say that. By all accounts, from what I can tell. And I did a show with David Batdorf years ago, Life After People, The Rise of the Dogman. And I did that episode because I had watched a documentary about dogs and how dogs work genetically. And the scientists in this documentary were talking about how dogs have a very slippery genome. It's very pliable. It can change. And I'm more apt, I think, to see something like that, something that's pliable like that genetically. If we were to fall off the face of the earth, I wonder if dogs, because of what we've done to them in domesticating them and all the breeding, has made them so slippery that something like this could possibly happen. It's just a thought. But when I did that show with David years ago, that was my theory, that, or hypothesis, or whatever you want to call it, that this could happen because of this slippery genome that dogs have. And you start introducing that genome back into the wild, who knows what would happen with, the wolf packs or coyotes. We've already seen it with the coy wolf. This mixture of dog, wolf, and coyote it's changing things. So who knows where to go from there? It could very well change the landscape of it, of how we look at dogs in the wild. 50 years from now, it could be a totally different thing. Totally and completely a different species than what we're looking at. Or who knows? It could happen, I think. Maybe not that fast, but we could start seeing the beginnings of it. I know with the coy wolf, it's a definite thing that is happening. And a lot of people don't want to believe in it. I know that as well. But it is a thing. So, like I said, when I came across this from Phil, my first take on it was, what's the rub? When does the other shoe drop? What's the thing that Phil isn't telling me here? So far, I haven't seen it. I don't think he knows anything more about it than I do. I don't think he knows that the guy's full of shit or that it's a bullshit story. It is a very interesting story. And that's one of the things that I've always liked about this type of thing, the Fortean topics, is that they're very interesting stories. But when you start picking away at the stories, most oftentimes they fall apart. Will this be one of those stories that just falls apart over time? Or will it become one of those stories that we look at as like canon to the Fortean world? Is this going to be one of those stories that we look at 20 years from now and go, hey, that Joe Barger Dogman story, that's pretty fucking weird, man. Could be. There's so many of the stories that I look at where I'm like, all right, maybe there's something here with this one. A lot of people bitch about the Freeman footage. I like the Freeman footage. I think it's probably one of the few pieces of video evidence out there where I shake my head and I go, I don't fucking know, man. I don't know that guy pulled that off. I think he caught something on video. And whether or not you want to, say he was faking fucking tracks, whatever, I think that day he caught something interesting. And I don't think he had anything to do with it. I don't think he set that up. The Freeman footage. There's A lot of questions about that. What do I think about that? On that one, there are so many questions for me now with the Freeman footage that I don't know. I remember the first time I saw it and how much it scared me when I was a little kid. I was home alone watching one of those Sunday shows that come on where they talk about weird, strange things because there's nothing else on TV. And I see this thing walking across the screen. And I live in the woods. Like, I grew up in the woods in Maine, in Buxton. I mean, out in the Willywax. Scared the shit out of me. Does something like that live in my backyard? But at this point, when I look at that footage, I don't know. I don't know whether that's a real thing. I just don't know. There's so much BS that surrounds that. It makes it hard for me. Yeah. So I don't know where these things take us, where the Joe Barger story takes us. Does it take us to a bioweapon? Is it a supernatural creature? Is it a bullshit story? Is Joe Barger full of shit? I don't know. Again, I'd like to believe that he's not. I'd like to believe that he's telling a true story and that we can just take that story and not go with it, but that we can take that story and add that into our lexicon or whatever. Did the guy shoot a Dogman? Was there a cover-up? Did they come after him when he came out and told his story? I'd like to know the answers to these questions. Is this the truth? And if so, wild story. A 10-foot Dogman? Who the fuck wants to run into that? If you do, whew, you get bigger balls than me. Tell you that. I have no desire to run into a 10-foot Dogman. Hell, when I go hiking, I don't even want to run into a moose. Let alone a Dogman. Moose are fucking scary. So, yeah. Joe Barger. Check out his interview. Like I said, I'll link it below in the description so you guys can check it out. I don't know what to think of it. It's one of those ones where I want to feel like there's something there. I want to feel like there's something there, and I hope that the man's telling the truth. I'm sick of these people that come out and tell these just bullshit stories for, I don't know, some type of recognition or fame or, it sullies the whole thing. Because how do we really know? It's completely possible, and I'm not gonna discount. It's completely possible that Justin Smeha did what he said he did. It's completely possible. But at this point, I don't buy it. I personally don't buy it. And I know a lot of other people don't because of how that all unfolded. And because of that, they feel that it sullied the research that was done afterwards in that area. I want to believe. That's my biggest thing, always. I'm fucking Fox Mulder all the way. I want to believe. Do I want to run into that fucking thing? Hell no. But I want to believe that this guy is telling the truth about something. I want to believe that there are people out there who aren't filling us full of shit when it comes to these subjects. Because otherwise, we're all just being fed lies. And there is so much of that out there. There's so much misinformation in this community. You want to talk about misinformation? It's horrible. And it's propagated. And people promote it. And I'm tired of it. I want the truth. It's not a big ask, I don't think, to just be given the truth. And have truthful people out there trying to present truthful evidence. But they won't. And they'll hide it. And they'll keep their little cliques. And we'll never get anywhere. It'd be nice to see a concerted effort of a good group of people to do good research and present that research to the public. But as it is now, there are people out there doing research that I've been told is quote unquote good research, but we don't see it. Where does that lead us? How does that help anyone? I want to see the good research, if it exists, on all fronts. UFO, ghosts, Dogman, cryptids, Bigfoot, whatever. Time travel. Time travel, right? Yeah, time travel. But yeah, truth. I don't think it's a big ask. I find it frustrating that there's so many of us that just want that. And those people wind up giving up. Because they just can't take it anymore. They can't take all of the hoaxes and all of the lies. So they let go. And that brings us right back to where we've always been. We don't know anything. So my call is present the truth. That's it. I would like to never again have to present a video about somebody hoaxing something. That'd be nice. How many videos did I do about Rick Dyer? Quite a few. I know there's one of them that gets hit all the time on my channel. Gets hit all the time. I would love it if I never again had to talk about anyone like that. And I could just talk about people out there really trying to find out the truth. And if the truth is there's nothing, that's okay too. I tend not to believe that. Because I know a lot of people with experiences that I believe their stories. And I don't just discount them. So, as with everything, we shall see. We shall see. But I think I'm going to wrap this one up for this week. I don't know what I'm going to do for next week. I have nothing slated currently. Just my teeth getting taken out on Monday, so y'all have fun listening to that. Should be pretty interesting. I'll probably be in a bit of pain still on Saturday night. So, but I only have to go back to work for one night tomorrow. Then I'm off Monday, Tuesday for that. I may have to take Wednesday off. depending upon how it's settling. But should be an interesting time for you guys if you tune in to listen, or even afterwards when you listen to the replay. Because I'm gonna keep it up in its entirety. I'll just go with it, all the fuck ups and all. So until next week, folks, where I will come back with a topic of some sort. See ya!